Can hear me now? We'll try that again. I want to thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. This is the first webinar in our winter webinar series, Hot Topics and Trends in 21st Century Mentoring. My name is Karen Katusian. I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Engagement for St. Joseph's College, Long Island, and it is my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce Jennifer James, alumna of the class of 2007 from St. Joseph's College. She'll introduce herself and tell you a little bit about herself and as well as why she's facilitating this topic along with me today. I'll be providing some insights from the program perspective. I'm one of the program facilitators for SJC Mentor here at St. Joseph's College. So for those of you who may know what that program is or may not, we're going to hear a little bit about that at the end of our webinar. We're also going to be doing some live polling today. So if you have any questions, insights, feedback, we'd love to hear it about your thoughts and insights about mentoring. And without further ado, we'd love to turn it over to Jen so that she can introduce herself and she can tell you a little bit more about why she's here with us. Jen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to our St. Joseph's College first webinar series on 21st century mentoring. I'll be your facilitator today, and I'd just like to give you a little bit of my background. My name is Jennifer James. I'm a registered nurse with 28 years experience. Hospital, skilled nursing, home health, palliative home health. Just wanted to let everybody know what my current position is. I'm a nurse surveyor for the Joint Commission, which requires me to travel throughout the United States on a weekly basis, usually leaving Mondays and returning Fridays or Saturdays. I fly. Most of my transportation is done on flights, so technology is crucial for maintaining relationships both personally and professionally. I have a master's degree that I obtained from Stony Brook University in 2017. I have a bachelor's in healthcare administration from here at St. Joseph's College from 2007, and I received my RN way back in 1990 from Suffolk Community College. I'm also maintained my wound care certification since 2000.
Okay.
I just want to talk a little bit about what is a mentor. To me, I put a list of words together describing what a mentor means to me and what I hope that I am when people become my mentees and we journey together through the mentor-mentee relationship. An educator, a master of their craft, a guide, a tutor, a coach, a champion, an influencer, a role model, an advocate, a support system, and most important to me, a friend.
What I really love about this slide that Jennifer put together is if you notice the graphic here, if you follow my arrow, whoops, sorry about that. If you notice this graphic of these two people, so they're helping each other, they're guiding each other. You don't see an image of a person carrying the burdens or the challenges of another individual. They're lending a hand, they're lending support to help you get a little bit further than you are now. So that's not to say that that person who could be a mentor for you, the tutor, the coach, the champion, they're not going to absorb your stress, they're not going to absorb your challenges. They may not necessarily even make them go away for you or figure out how to fix them, but there's someone that's a resource and a support system for you along whatever path you're taking at that moment.
I just wanted to take a few minutes and describe some thoughts on why I mentor. 2019 begins my journey, my 29th year as becoming a registered nurse. Through those years, I've been inspired, coached, supported, and most of all befriended by the most amazing, compassionate individuals who've taken their very own time to share with me their life's experience in my chosen profession. This process, to me, enables myself to pay it forward to the others.
And at this point, we actually wanted to see, based on who's in the audience at this point, whether you consider yourself a mentor right now. So when you see the poll, go ahead and submit your choice. Take a minute to do that. The question is, do you consider yourself a mentor? Yes, maybe, no, I'm not sure. So go ahead and fill in those answers. We're collecting responses at the moment, and when we're finished, we'll be happy to share those results with you and talk about what they mean. We see some results coming in, really interesting. Take another couple of moments or so to finish those responses. Looks like we have almost everyone put them in. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and close that and show you the results. So basically what you see here is you see yes, maybe, no, and I'm not sure. 43% of you said yes, I consider myself a mentor. 43% said maybe, and 14% said I'm not sure. Jen, I'm curious what you think about those numbers. And thank you for sharing that with us, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much for participating, because this is very important. Those that answered maybe, 43%. Just wondering, anyone would like to elaborate on why it's maybe and not a yes?
So feel free to go ahead and type in if you have something that you'd like to add in the chat bubble. We'd love to hear your answers. And also, if you have a question about Jen's thoughts, feel free to go ahead and type that in as well. And while we go ahead and get those responses, we'll come back to that in a moment.
Preparing for this webinar, I came across a really profound quote from Michelle Obama, who I find to be very inspiring in today's world. She's quoted as saying, when you've worked hard and done well and walked through that doorway of opportunity, you do not slam it shut behind you. You reach back and give other folks the same chances that helped you succeed. And if you look to the right, these are just a few of the mentors that I've experienced in my 29 years of being a nurse. And some of these people have inspired me by teaching me, sharing with their knowledge with clinical skills. Some of them have inspired me with their educational knowledge. Some have inspired me with their compassion to other humans, meaning our patients. And sometimes it has to do with when you're in a management position as an administrator, how do you communicate with your staff and to have them buy into why we're doing things as an organization to move forward. And it just goes hand in hand how we all need to be human beings with each other, no matter what role we're in at the moment in time.
Jen, I love that you have shared with us some of your mentors. And I'm curious to know if any of you keep in touch with any of the people that you consider mentors for you. So go ahead and fill out that poll. The question is, do you still keep in touch with any of your mentors? Yes, maybe, no, and I'm not sure. And when we say keep in touch, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in touch with them every single day or maybe on even a consistent basis. Maybe it's once a year, maybe it's sporadically, but we want to get a sense of what you think. So go ahead and fill in those polls. A few more moments for that. We have almost everybody that answered. Here we go. I think we're about ready to close this poll and share the results. So overwhelmingly, we have 100% of people still keep in touch with their mentors today. So for those of you who all said yes, feel free to type in the chat box just any thoughts or comments on why that is. And Jen, why do you still keep in touch with your mentors?
Well, I think it's very important to show my mentors that they are part of my professional success. I just want them to know where I'm at. It's also professionally good to keep in touch with your mentors for professional growth. Sometimes I go back to my mentors and ask them for job references, ask their opinions on positions that I might be interested in applying, or actually educational programs when I'm pursuing a degree, as I've pursued my degree since my RN when I was right out of high school. I did pursue my other 2 degrees as an adult. So I did touch base with my mentors to see in my workforce what degrees were important for me to get to be successful.
So here we have some information that Jen wanted to share with us about the early mentions of mentoring. And this was really interesting, when sort of Jen and I started talking about mentoring as a concept, mentoring as sort of a cultural idea, and where it really came from. So Jen, please share with us what your thoughts are.
Yes, I just wanted to bring in a little bit of history into this 21st century mentoring topic. Early mentions of mentoring going back to Odyssey of Homer. Historically, the word mentor came from Greek literature. Homer had described in his literary piece, The Odyssey, a relationship between a young boy and his father's longtime close friend. It was in absence of the boy's father during the Trojan War that this mentor had guided him through his early years.
And so we were just too excited to share that slide with you. And now we actually wanted to bring in, so in addition to historical context and obviously cultural context, we wanted to bring some of real-time context to you as well. So Sophia is one of Jen's mentees. Jen is going to speak a little bit about her mentees that she works with at the college in a few moments. But when we asked Sophia to share some of her thoughts on mentoring and specifically working with Jen, Sophia was nice enough to share some comments with us and some quotes that she gave us permission to share with you today. So one of the things that she wrote was, what I love about my mentorship program is having someone who genuinely wants you to succeed and will give you as much advice and guidance as possible in order to get you to success. So again, not somebody who is carrying you through things, not somebody who's absorbing your stress, who is sort of, a sounding board for you to push things off of and move on. What Sophia is talking about is a little bit different here. Jen, I'm wondering if you have some thoughts looking at that quote from Sophia.
Well, it goes back to the words that we use to describe what is a mentor. And the last one that I did highlight was being a friend. And when you're a friend to somebody, you have that relationship where you're there for that person in the time of need. And you're always trying to inspire them and encourage them that they can do it. And we've all been through situations where we have to say, oh, this is a burden, I got to put this aside, I can't do this. But no, you could reach out to your mentor and have a conversation, whether it's on the phone, on text message, on social media, email, and they can talk you off the ledge to be able to, yes, I can do this, and just go back and reiterate what you need to do and move forward from there.
And as you can see with the painting right next to it, Age of Teaching Youth, mentoring is something that sort of spans culture, country, geographic region, time, distance. It's really something that is a universal concept. And what we're going to be talking about in another webinar in this series is what reverse mentoring is. So typically people think of mentoring as an older person or someone with more experience sort of sharing that insight and wisdom and advice with somebody who's either younger or less experienced. And we're going to talk about how mentoring can work in a lot of different ways. But this is typically, one of the images that we typically tend to think of when we think of mentoring and the exchange of information, guidance, support, and caring about one another, helping people as people would. So now we're actually going to segue into mentoring in 2019 and beyond. We're going to be breaking down a few different concepts, and we're going to be asking you some questions about how you communicate with mentors and mentees in your professional environment and in your social network, so things on social media, and also how technology and different types of events will intersect with that. So with that here, we have, a few main areas that we want to break down for you. The first is going to be technology. We're going to be talking about how technology can be a challenge, but how it can also be really useful and how you can really use it to your advantage in terms of not only maintaining connections, but creating new ones. We're going to talk about in-person meetings and how they're valuable, why they're valuable, and if we still do them. We're going to talk about social media, what platforms we use and why. And business networking versus college networking, what the differences are, what the value is in both environments, and maybe something new that we can learn from that experience. So Jen, let's talk about technology and social media. So again, a quote from Sophia, one of your mentees: the best way to interact with your mentor is to meet up with them in person, but in today's world where we have technology at the tip of our fingers, texting, emailing, and video chatting is the next best thing. What do you think?
Well, I think for us, Sophia and I, our relationship, we began off at a Starbucks, a local Starbucks, which was mutually distanced in between both of our homes. It was a day that we both could meet with my work schedule and her college and work schedule, and we're able to communicate going forward. We use text messaging, emailing, Facebook messaging, and we just keep in touch with each other however we best can. Right before Christmas time, we were able to meet up at a restaurant and have a nice lunch together in person and continue to get to know not only our professional relationship, but to develop that friendship aspect of the mentor-mentee relationship.
When we think about technology also, it's not necessarily connected to social, right? So what we're doing right now, using GoToWebinar, using the system to connect with you and interact with you, and we're not in the same physical space. That's an example of utilizing technology to your advantage, to connect with people no matter where they are, no matter what you're doing and where you're going next, to be able to touch base, whether it's for an hour, a half an hour, an informal or formal setting. When we think about social media, it's just what Jen had mentioned, you know, texting, emailing, video chatting. And there's also some pros and cons with that, right, Jen? What do you think about the quality of the connections when, let's say, an in-person meeting versus texting or video chatting? Is there a difference? Can we maintain the same level of quality with technology? What do you think?
I think we can maintain a level with technology as long as it's mutually agreeable for the mentor and mentee. Some people would prefer to have an in-person relationship with more in-person meetings, and then others would prefer to do more of the technology-based meetings. So I think that's something in the relationship between the mentor and mentee that needs to develop over time. But for me personally, I do like to meet my mentees first for at least one meeting, whether it's at the college, at a Starbucks, or a mutually agreeable location, so we can get to physically see each other and to get to know each other for a little bit of time, and not such a, you know, technology where you don't really see the person or you don't really get to, you know, listen to their voice or have any kind of human contact.
Mm-hmm. We're also really curious, you know, as we're thinking about technology and connecting with people, what your thoughts are on that and how you best communicate, or how you communicate with your mentors, with mentees, with professional colleagues. So we're going to go to another poll here. What types of technology do you use to connect with people in your network? Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, something else that isn't listed here. So go ahead and take a minute and fill in any of the choices that make sense. You can select more than one. So if you use all of them, feel free to choose all of them. If you use only one more than others, feel free to put that in as well. We have about 50% of responses, and they're really interesting. I'm looking forward to getting the finalized results in a moment and sharing them with you all. And for those of you who are putting something else that isn't listed here, feel free to type in the chat box what that is, or ways that you've used to communicate using technology and social media. Okay, we're about ready to close that poll, and we're going to go ahead and share that with you now. So pretty diverse responses. 57% said Facebook, 29% said Twitter, 29% LinkedIn, 43% said Instagram. That's pretty surprising. I'm really delighted to see that. We've seen, you know, in our own work here how important Instagram is for us for promotion and just creating a social network, but didn't really think that a lot of people used it to network. So I'm curious, for those of you who selected Instagram, feel free to type in the chat box some ways that you've done that, because I'd be really curious to hear about that. Jen, what are your thoughts on the poll results?
Well, my thoughts are Instagram. I don't even have an Instagram account, and I do communicate most of my professional and personal with my mentees with technology. I think that I need to ask my mentees to mentor me on Instagram, obtaining an Instagram account and being able to use that proficiently as I do the Facebook and the emails and the LinkedIn site.
Absolutely, me too. I feel the same way. So when we talk about business and college networking, Jen, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on business versus college networking, and if you engage in either of those types of networking right now.
I see the business networking as association meetings, the LinkedIn site, where you really collaborate with your colleagues in your profession or your like professions. I see college networking as what I do here, volunteering for St. Joseph's College as an alumni mentor, doing some college volunteering work on the weekends when I'm home. I see that more as a multi-professional interaction where you can actually end up helping somebody else in another program that's not necessarily in your profession, but just by your business network, you can, you know, dovetail and help them into establishing relationships with people that you've known in your professional life. And I also think the college networking is a more relaxed environment conducive to developing those friendship-type relationships that you don't know in the future, where you can call upon people you've met in the college networking to either help yourself or someone else.
Jen, I think a lot of what you've said is so important and really so relevant. And for me, I think of business and college networking in a similar way. So business, you tend to think of people, in your industry, people that generally might have some of the same functions as you, who might work in the same roles or similar organizations, right? Let's say like healthcare. So typically people who work in healthcare tend to see each other at a lot of events. Or, when you're at a conference or professional development event, the big joke is that you tend to see, the same 30, 40, 50 people in everything that you go to, because that tends to be your business network. So there are opportunities for you to expand connections, deepen connections, get introduced to other people through that business network. But the beauty of a college network and networking through your alma mater is really the opportunity to engage with multiple types of people with many types of degrees, many types of skill sets, many types of industry expertise, where someone may be dabbling in something that directly pertains to a project that you're working on, and maybe not right now, but maybe in a year, maybe you're going to connect with that person and explore that opportunity further. But Jen, I'm really curious to ask you, while I was thinking about what you were saying as far as business and college networking, do you think in either one of these environments you can find a mentor or a mentee? Do you think that the networking environment is too sort of large for a mentoring connection to take place? I'm curious on your thoughts.
No, I think it's absolutely both environments are conducive to finding a mentor or finding a mentee. But I just think that the word mentor and mentee needs to be a little more publicized. We need to speak about it, especially as professionals in our chosen careers. We need to find who's going to replace us in the next generation as we move up in the career ladders or take a step back or eventually retire. I think we need to look at the younger generation and bring them up into our profession and guide them through.
I love that. And I also think, too, in addition to from a recruitment hiring trend standpoint, you have other aspects and other challenges that today's entering workforce, emerging professionals, as they're tend to call now, they're dealing with a host of different issues, challenges, competing demands on their time, over ability to multitask, lots of different things that we could break out into several webinars and talk about for hours. So it's really important for that sort of cross synergy to happen, where not only is that person that's in the mentee role learning from you and gaining from your insights and experience, you're learning from them and gaining from their experience about things that they're going through that are new and different and are a challenge to an entry-level person or an emerging professional that may not always have been there. And we're also going to talk about some more challenges now in a second. So meeting in public places. These are things that Jen has already mentioned, places like Starbucks, places like, basically anything that someone can meet you at that's a public setting, that's informal, that allows a different type of connection to take place. And Jen, when we talked about this different type of connection, do you want to say some of your thoughts on that?
Well, sometimes I think when you get out of the workplace and you get out of the college arena, you go into a mutually enjoyable environment, and then that friendship, that relationship develops, because I think that the core relationships between the mentor and mentee is a friendship, because there should be no embarrassment of a question that a mentor has to ask the mentee, or vice versa. If the mentee is struggling with something, they should be able to feel comfortable to ask their mentor anything and not feel like they're going to be thought differently about that subject.
Also, too, I'm even looking at the slide now, and we look at the word meeting. So if you were to focus on the word meeting, you could think of a formalized, where you're at a table and I'm sitting here and Jen is sitting across from me, and we're sort of asking and answering each other's questions. But meetings can also take place doing community service at a soup kitchen, at a food pantry. They can take place on the soccer field with your child's game or your little brother's, PTA project or something of that nature. There's lots of different ways that people come together. And in my experience, in my own mentoring experiences, what I've found is that you tend to find people who have similar values or who connect or gravitate to the same concepts or things that you do in the environments where you want to be. So let's say volunteering. I can't tell you how many times I've been volunteering with, let's say, Island Harvest or another type of organization, and I've met amazing people. We're not there for the purpose of networking. We're there for the purpose of helping the community. But through our connection to the community, our passion for doing this together and for having this common interest, other things end up coming up. We have great conversations. I have amazing connections with some of these people that I met through volunteering that I still continue to stay connected to 10, 12, 15 years later, and they're still a part of my network, even if I've never actually worked with them in a particular job or profession. So another comment from our friend Sophia, Jen's mentee. When challenges arise, so Sophia, and you'll hear a little bit more about this in a second, but Sophia is a nursing student here at St. Joseph's College. And, you know, typically when we think of nurses, we think of people who have nothing to do, right? They're completely no stress. You know, their jobs are not difficult at all. And, you know, they just breeze through everything, right? Absolutely not. They're extremely challenging, you know, curriculum, course requirements, clinicals, you know, not to say that others don't have similar challenges as well, right? So inevitably, there's going to be a point in a particular person's life or through a mentoring experience where things are going to get overwhelming. So before we even get to Sophia's quote, Jen, what happens in your life, in your perspective? How do you shift things when it's difficult for you to be a mentor, when your job is taking you to, you know, different states multiple times a month and you don't even have time to sit with yourself? How do you make that work?
Well, technology is a wonderful invention because technology enables us to keep our relationships, even if we're unable to make a meeting with my mentee or with you, Taryn, as we worked on this project. I'll give this as an example. I'm able to send a quick email, a quick text. It could just be like, I can't make it. I'll get back to you by the end of the day. I'll get back to you by tomorrow. So at least there's a connection there. And I also think that learning these methods helps the young mentees learn how to become professionals in their career as they move on and become stronger in their industry. So it's not just, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's okay. It's okay not to be able to make a meeting. It's okay not to be able to have to switch a time around for something. It's okay to feel like maybe you are available, but you're so overwhelmed by the day you've had, you can't even think straight. And I do feel that way in this point in my life where I'll have to shoot an email out and say, can we do this tomorrow? Can we do this another day? And when just even setting up the date will happen the next day because it's just a respect thing and you're learning to become a professional.
I love that you said it doesn't have to be a long, formalized thing. It doesn't have to be a life story. We've all gotten those emails or those calls from people where, it seems to be a mile long in terms of the reasons, right? We're all human beings. We all have reasons and challenges for why we might not have been able to make a commitment or fulfill an obligation or why it just might be difficult for us to manage our time at whatever moment we're dealing with. So, these are all things that are normal. They're things that our mentors can help us with, partly because, as Jen and I have talked about, Jen, you've been there, right? You've experienced some challenges.
Yes, every day.
Right? Absolutely.
Continue to, and we work our way around it, and we evolve into the professionals that we are.
And going back to Sophia's quote, she says, I recommend having a mentor to anyone, because no matter how much you think you know it all, your mentor will always be there to give you priceless new wisdom. So it's not implying, Sophia's comment is not saying that Jen, her mentor, knows it all either. We're here to help each other. That's really what it should be about. And with that in mind, let's go to another poll. We want to know from you what you think is the most challenging or the hardest thing about connecting with people in today's world. There are a few different options. Feel free to select more than one. All of them would be good choices, but feel free to select the ones that speak best to you. So we have lack of physical time, lack of motivation and energy, uncertainty about how to network, fear of rejection, being ignored or a negative reaction, or I don't know enough about mentoring to really make a decision. So go ahead and put in whatever you think speaks to you at the moment. A little less than half of our responses, so we want to see if others have something to share as well. Oh, got a few more coming in. Wait just a few more moments. Okay. I think we can share a poll. And Jen, I'm curious to know what you think about these responses. So go ahead and take a look at what's on your screen. So 63% of us said lack of physical time, 38% uncertainty about how to network. What do you think about those results? I think that's really interesting.
I just, the 63% of lack of physical time just speaks to our webinar today on 21st century mentoring, because you don't need physical time. Technology enables us all different times of the day, different time zones that we're in, to be able to have these connections. And it's not a formalized program where you must meet certain amounts of time. It could be a short mentoring-mentee relationship or a long mentor-mentee relationship. It's really based on both people's needs, and it could fade out for a while and then be reestablished again when there is that need for the mentee and mentor to touch base again.
You've heard a lot about Sophia, but you don't know anything about Mackenzie yet. So Jen, please share with us some stories about your mentees.
I just wanted to share, these are the two of my current mentees. Both of them are BSN nursing students here at St. Joseph's College. Mackenzie is a junior in the BSN program, and Sophia is a sophomore. And Mackenzie was my first BSN nursing student that I mentored, and we did meet here at the college. Sophia and I, when we first met, we met at Starbucks. So they're two completely different personalities, two very similarly driven, strong young women with the compassion for helping others that will make them wonderful nurses when they finish their program. And I hope to keep in touch with both of them as their careers develop through the years, because I'll be more than anxious to see how wonderful they're doing.
And we wanted to share these with you, of course, with the permission of our students, of our mentees, because we wanted to put some faces to the concepts and the names and the things that we're talking about. We wanted to remind you that mentoring is really all about people at the end of the day, right? It's about helping people. It's about working with people. It's about challenging yourself, challenging others, digging deep when you know you can, or you're not sure if you can, and reaching out to those people who support you and who really see your true value when you may not, when it may be difficult for you to see yourself that way. So we wanted to share this with you as evidence of, that there are people involved with this, and mentoring is really important and meaningful, and it's something that we really, value and we treasure and we take really seriously.
I just wanted to, talk a little bit about why I mentor and what mentoring means to me. I'm ensuring tomorrow and giving back. I feel a mentor plays a vital component in the energy of professional growth and sustaining professions for the years ahead. Mentoring allows the mentor to keep their chosen profession alive and pass on their quality of knowledge and passion that they've obtained over the years. And this is very important to me with my profession, nursing, to keep that profession alive, because people have so many choices with careers in healthcare now, and nursing is very near and dear to my heart as almost 30 years in the profession, starting as such a young girl. I just believe that we need to be there for those who do share the same compassion and values for the nursing profession. I also see the mentor-mentee relationship does not require a set schedule or meeting agenda. The partnership can be temporary or lifelong, depending on the needs of both individuals involved. And yes, mentoring is 100% possible in the 21st century for both the mentor and mentee. And the model of mentoring may have changed, as we've seen when we went over some historical values with mentoring in the world, but the concept is absolutely the same.
Absolutely. And I think, some professions, lend themselves more to reinforcing mentoring as a value more than others. But mentoring is something that, you can take advantage of as somebody seeking mentoring or somebody wanting to give, insights and advice to others at any point in your professional career, whether you're an entry-level person, whether you're a continuing student, whether you're a professional at mid-year transitioning. There's no one right type of mentor. There's no ideal type of experience, or I'm not qualified enough to be able to provide you with some guidance. I'm a human being and I have experiences, and that's valuable in and of itself. So we always want to make sure that we remember those things about ourselves and what we bring as value to the mentoring and the mentee relationship.
Okay, this is a very profound quote again from somebody who I feel is a mentor of kindness, or who was. Fred Rogers was somebody who I watched on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood back in the early 70s when I was a kid. And this is a quote from his mother, and it's, when I was a boy, I would see scary things in the news. My mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You would always find people who are helping. To this day, especially in times of disaster, I remember my mother's words. And I'm always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in the world. And why I find this to be so profound is because as a mentor, we are helpers. We are helping the next generation of professionals succeed. We're there to help them each and every day, as little or as most as they need us to. So if you don't mentor, who will?
Absolutely. I love this quote, and when I saw that Jen had put it on the slides, to me this is just everything. This is everything that the SJC Mentor Program stands for and speaks to at St. Joseph's College. I think it's what all people who truly enjoy the mentoring experience and giving back to others, I think that's really what the goal is to help and to impact others, and not to further someone's career, further your own career, not to exploit or, sort of take advantage of the connection, but really to make meaning and really to make an impact not only for yourself but for others, because the world is very, very small, right? So there we go. And speaking of SJC Mentor, we wanted to just mention, for those of you who are part of our St. Joseph's College community and also our friends of the college as well, we have an extremely amazing high-quality mentoring program here called SJC Mentor for our alums and our current students. It's available for you at any point throughout your professional career. This is a lifetime benefit for our alums and students, so whether it's you're a student right now, you graduated yesterday, you graduated a year from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you can always volunteer to be a mentor or to seek guidance from an alumni professional mentor. Typically, we have mentors with 10 to 15 years of experience or more. We also will make short-term connections for our students, faculty, staff, and alumni who are interested in connecting with alums or professionals who have gone to law school, medical school, dental school, who are deciding between clinical versus non-clinical careers, who are transitioning, who have questions about work-life balance and how to manage the busy demands of a nursing career, right? So there's many, many different types of mentors we have. There's a mentor for everyone, and we will match you, in addition to your degree and career interests, will also match you by your passion, what you care about, where you want to see yourself, what you want to do, what type of a difference do you want to make, and where you want to go and see yourself doing that. So friends of the college are welcome to serve as mentors. We are always looking for qualified mentors, people who genuinely love what they do, people who want to share that knowledge and insight with others. So if you're interested in exploring either of those options, whether learning if being a mentor or a mentee is right for you, go ahead and reach out to me through email. My email address is right there. Feel free to take a screenshot of that if you'd like. I'll definitely be following up with you with contact information and with a recording of the live webinar presentation. But if you'd like to make sure you have my email now, feel free to go ahead and take it. This was the first webinar in our winter webinar series. We're very much looking forward to our next week's webinar, Making the Most of Reverse Mentoring, taking place on Wednesday, February 27th at noon. Once again, to reserve your spot for that, visit the link below, alumni.sjcny.edu/winterwebinars. And you can visit the same link as well if you'd like to sign up for the last webinar in our mentoring installment, Finding Your Way with Mid-Career Mentors. So when you find yourself mid-career, that doesn't mean it's a certain amount of years that you're in your career. You might find yourself stuck, unmotivated, not sure what to do next, wanting to aspire to more leadership roles in your organization or position, but you don't really know how to do that. We're going to be examining what mid-career mentors are and how they can be useful to you at any stage of your career. And with that, we'd like to also remind you that we are able to bring you webinars like this, and we're able to provide these free for the community as a result of the support and partnerships that we have and those who are able to give. So if you're interested in learning more, visit giving.sjcny.edu for a host of opportunities and ways that you can contribute. With that being said, we'd like to open it up and see if anyone has any questions for Jen. Jen, I want to go back to that poll as people are thinking about the challenges. So we had a lot of people all across the board, just to sort of share that again, lack of time, lack of motivation, energy, uncertainty, and fear of rejection. Are these legitimate reasons that keep people from connections, and how can we overcome them?
Well, I absolutely think they're all valid reasons people might shy away from the mentor-mentee relationship. However, but I think that if people reach out to you as St. Joseph's College mentor, and as much as you specifically try to match people with their personalities, their professionals, their desires for what they want out of a relationship, I think that a lot of those issues that they might have find to be hindrances would go away.
Absolutely. We just had a question from somebody asking if we can send the presentation. We absolutely will be sending the webinar recording, and we'll also be posting it live on our website so that you can access it anytime that you need to. I was thinking about as well the technology aspect. So when we were thinking about FaceTime versus texting versus in-person relationships, it's all really sort of one and the same now, right? Is there a way that you prefer to meet or to mentor somebody? What's your favorite way?
My favorite way, I like text messaging if we cannot meet in person, but I do like to do the mix of meeting in person with the text message. I feel that, so Facebook, people that are on Facebook, I like to see what my mentees are doing and what's important to them, and especially when my mentees are, posting quotes, it gives me a little bit of insight into their personality and what types of things they're following as well.
Thank you so much, Jen, for your time today. We're so grateful, especially in this weather that we're having this afternoon. We want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your expertise. And we look forward to hearing more about your mentoring experiences in the future.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you, everybody that took the time out of their day to listen to our program.
Thank you. We'll be following up with the survey, so please feel free to submit your feedback. It's extremely important to us. We take it very seriously, and we try to improve and tweak based on all of your feedback. So thank you in advance for doing that for us. Thank you. Have a great day.